Raiders dropped their sixth game in a row versus the LA Chargers. Let's talk about it.
Second and goal, blitz coming. Gino gets rid of it. Gino, wait a minute. No, it's caught it. You gotta be kidding me. It looked like Gino was throwing that one to the turf, and Bowers with one arm brings it in. That was unbelievable, Andrew.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy D Nice with I2G Radio, back at it with another Las Vegas Raiders podcast. Today we have our Chargers-Raiders post-game show. Urge everyone, like, comment, and subscribe to I2G Radio. We are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Letter I, number 2, letter G, radio. This podcast is also on YouTube, Viva Las Raiders. Word Viva, 2 words, Las Raiders, 3 words total. Check us out there as well if you like to listen to the podcast on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And also, you can check this out on our hip-hop site, www.illuminati2g.com. I'm going to start integrating these over to our other site as well, R&B Rhythms. That way you're all the way covered on all of our platforms. But let's talk about it. Raiders lose 31-14 against the Los Angeles Chargers. I think now that makes them 1-7 or 1-6 in SoFi Stadium since that stadium opened. I believe they opened the same year that Allegiant Stadium opened. Raiders only 1 win, and their first win was their first appearance in SoFi during the COVID year. But this game really was never, I felt, in reach for the Raiders. Defensively, I thought they played a fairly decent game, but, 12 for 17 on third down conversions was the Chargers. The Chargers, it didn't matter if it was a half yard, 5 yards, 15 yards. They were going to convert on third downs, and they absolutely killed any defensive momentum, especially off of the interception by Caillou Blue Kelly. It was just too disjointed. Maybe one good drive, maybe 2 drives from the offense. Geno Smith threw an interception, right after the Caillou Blue Kelly interception, and that gave the Chargers better field position than what the Raiders got. So it actually worked out in Chargers' favor. Like, it was actually like a kick inside the 5, because when Caillou Blue Kelly did get the interception, he was only able to bring it out to about the 3 or 4 yard line. So they were already backed up. And then Geno throws the interception. They quickly convert that into points. Max Crosby was an absolute monster out there, had 2 sacks. Another good, solid game now, back-to-back now for Malcolm Kuntz, another sack. He's up to 3 sacks this year. I was happy to see him. He's playing better in the last couple of games, getting more pressures, and I'm actually getting home to the quarterback. Jeremy Chin was an absolute missile out there, 17 tackles, 8 solo. Did have a first down saving tackle on Justin Herbert, and on that play, Justin Herbert fractured his hand on his non-throwing hand. But not sure if he's going to be he played the rest of the game. He had a kind of a white glove on. I'm sure he had probably a soft cast on underneath. But definitely something to monitor. But the defense just, like I said, third downs was in complete shambles. I felt like Devin White, for every 2-3 plays that he was making a play on the football, or a great tackle, anything like that. I just felt like there was 4 plays where he was either missing on tackles, was getting completely beat and dogging it on routes with receivers. It was a really just up and down game from the defense. Really wasn't able to put it together, and especially being on long drives, with this offense. And this offense it looks more and more week to week like a bigger and bigger mess. Offensive line is definitely, in my years of watching football, I can't think of too many offensive lines that I've seen in the NFL level this bad. And as a Raiders fan, I've seen a lot of bad football, but it's rough. Every time they get ready to hike, I am kind of sitting back, holding my breath, because I don't know what's going to happen. 5 sacks given up today. It was 11 sacks last week against the Browns. I don't know the history books, but we haven't hit the record for most sacks in a game, but cumulative, it's getting up there, and I would think for like a 3-4 game stretch, it's got to be on some historically bad numbers as far as the amount of hits, pressures, and sacks that Geno Smith has taken so far this season. It's rough. Ashton Jeanty only 31 yards on the ground. He got 5 for 30 receiving. Definitely with Greg Olson's offense, definitely was looking more and more to get, the tight ends and the running back, getting Jeanty involved. It's funny when Josh Jacobs was here for, his first couple years, Oakland and then in Las Vegas. And I always tell people this, there's a big difference and it wasn't too much with yards, but Jacobs was used a lot by Gruden and the Raiders and during that whole offensive staff. And his second year kind of dropped a little bit. He was banged up. But, big difference with that was not having Richie Incognito, who was playing, I think it was left guard at the time, with the team that second year for Jacobs. With Jeanty, it's really disjointed, the whole Jackson Powers Johnson situation. Do you put him at center? Do you put him at guard? When he was in and was playing, he was playing well. He was progressing. He had a really bad game against the Chiefs, but the whole team had a bad game against the Chiefs. Chris Jones is Chris Jones. But for the most part, had got to settle in a little bit at guard, and he played guard for about half the season the year before that as well. So, it was really unfortunate with the injury. He was starting to get back, into his stride, but Alex Kappa now is at guard, or is at center, due to the injury with Jordan Meredith. You still have Stone Forsythe at left tackle. Dylan Parham played okay. Played much better the game before, but has definitely shown better reps so far as the season's progressed. DJ Glaze is still having a hard time. Some people are saying maybe move him to right guard or left guard. Definitely something to look into, I think. But Caleb Rogers, to me, I don't get too many players of the game, but I was impressed with Caleb Rogers, and this is something I've been stressing since the beginning of the season. We really need to see with the rookies what you have in the rookies, and I think Caleb Rogers had 17 snaps. I think he had 1 losing rep. I'm not saying he's going to be, some Larry Allen or all pro tackle or guard or anything like that, but you have to start somewhere. And I definitely think with more reps, he's going to continue to improve and get better. And you used a 3rd round pick on him, so you definitely want to see what he has and what he can bring to the table. And like I said, Raiders are not going to the playoffs. It's going to be another losing season, another season of 10-plus losses. So you might as well see what you have, and then you have a clearer vision going into the draft, what you need to draft as well. Charles Grant, I'd like to see him at right tackle or even left tackle. Doesn't matter. Get him in the game. Get him that versatility, get him those reps, and that will build the depth even that much further when Colton Miller comes back. If he comes back this year, great. If he doesn't, at least he'll be 100% healthy going into next year. And now you know you've got a solid rotational tackle that got reps in Grant, and know you've got possibly a starter in Caleb Rogers at guard. Now you can go big game hunting in the free agency if you want to get a proven vet guard from another team or free agency. You can go out and do that and spend a little more money, or you can, in the first 4 rounds, address guard. I'm getting into this more with my third quarter grades as far as for the team, but just seeing that a lot in this game, and it was good to see Caleb Rogers get some snaps. I hope he can definitely play some more. Caillou Blue Kelly had that big interception. It was rough on this defense as a whole. They were, the Chargers only had 150 yards passing, but well over 200 plus yards running the ball. And once again, that run game reared its ugly head in this game. This game reminded me a lot of the game against the Commanders in Washington, where Washington was just able to just run roughshod on the defense. But I thought all in all, Caillou had a solid game. Up to 3 interceptions. He's in the top 10 as far as receivers, as far as the NFL actually in interceptions. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the season Jack Jones had, where he was able to make turnovers, have pick sixes and everything, but also was giving up a crazy passer rating and a lot of yards as well. And, he's kind of a gambler and tries to make plays. With Caillou, I think it was just more being in the right place at the right time. I think he's getting his timing down more and is able to kind of read routes and read and react instead of just reading, for periods of time. Darian Porter had a solid game as well. Had a kind of a rough look there against Keenan Allen on some reps, but it just showed kind of the greatness of Justin Herbert and a lot of his pinpoint accuracy and passes, and especially to get that with Keenan Allen and on third down. They call it third and Keenan or whatever they call it there with Charger fans, but you definitely seen that on display on Sunday. So Raiders fall to 2-10. As I said before, something to monitor. Raiders now have lost 9 straight AFC West divisional games. 2 more left. It's either 9 or 10. I believe might be 10 actually. Broncos are on the menu next week. Broncos still I believe they're up to 11-game win streak or 10-game win streak. I know the Patriots just won their 10th straight on Monday Night Football. It's going to be a rough game in Allegiant. Definitely with Denver, a top 5, top 10 defense, total defense. Patrick Surtain is back as well, so I'm sure he's going to pretty much shadow Brock Bowers everywhere. Big shout out to Brock Bowers as well. 63 receiving yards. You heard the intro earlier. An incredible one-handed catch. I would consider it for me top 15, top 10 catch that I've ever seen. Crazy one-handed catch. Again, he's going to have his hands full trying to get open, but Brock is Brock. He'll find a way against Patrick Surtain. That's going to be a matchup I'm definitely looking forward to. But also was happy to see Jack Besh get more snaps as well. 2 catches. I think it was 29 yards. Dante Thornton had a catch, but did suffer a concussion on a pretty hard hit by Elijah Molden. Something to monitor as far as once practice begins here. I think it's on Wednesday to see if he's can pass a concussion protocol. So far, not looking too good. Tyler Lockett looked decent on a couple plays, and Trey Tucker, man, the guy is open a lot in these games, and Geno either just doesn't have the time or just cannot see him down the field. But again, Raiders down 31-14. Again, 10th straight divisional loss. Got Kansas City last game of the season, and this coming Sunday, you're playing the Denver Broncos. It's going to be tough for the Raiders. This is kind of that second murderer's row of the schedule now that's starting to come up. You've got a lot of teams that are currently, high seeds in the playoff hunt and want to finish the season out strong, and are looking at the Raiders right now as food. So it's going to be a tough stretch. You got the Eagles, the Texans, you got the Broncos, you've got the Chiefs. Depending on how the Chiefs finish out the season, that could be a very important game. But also, the same token, the Chiefs have never lost in Allegiant Stadium. So, I think regardless, they're going to want to. That's a game that they have circled that they want to definitely end the season well on, whether they're going to the playoffs or they're not going to the playoffs. But very tough stretch of games. We'll see how the Raiders respond. If the rookies and the young players can continue to get more and more playing time, especially now, like I said, the Raiders are not going to the playoffs. We'll probably more than likely have a lower to mid top 10 pick. Do they go after a quarterback? We will see. We'll definitely have more pods about certain quarterbacks, players I have my eye on, and I would like to see the Raiders go out and draft. But again, the site www.illuminati2g.com. You can also check this out on I2G Radio, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, letter I, number 2, letter G Radio. You can also check this out on YouTube, Viva Las Raiders. 3 words, Viva Las Raiders. Again, probably later today or definitely by tomorrow, I will have the third quarter progress report I have for the Las Vegas Raiders, so be on the lookout for that. We will also have an I2G Radio show coming up, talking about the game's upcoming mixtape and Corrupt's new album that he has with a certain Wu-Tang member that we will talk more in depth about. But D-Nice, I2G Radio, Las Vegas Raiders signing off. Peace.